Welcome back to Blue Exorcist interview episode number 50. Yep, the 50th episode's interview series. Me. Yeah, that was just by sheer coincidence that I like that. So we're here doing the 12th and final episode of season 5 of the show, the Blue Knight Saga, which also happened to be the 73rd episode of the series, known as Thank You. Now, I initially thought this episode would cover also the chapters they skipped over for this episode, which was chapters, I think it was like 111, 113, like 11, 114. But nope, they skipped them. So, they only adapted pretty much the rest of only one chapter. Chapter 120. Pages 8 to 45. Yeah, this one chapter was one episode. Not sure why I did this for, but they did. Mostly put, you could think of this as basically the prequel episode to the first episode of the series, because I would say a lot of this episode is just like setting up stuff, like little highlights what happened with basically Renikyo over the years, prior to the events of the very first episode of the series. We see their kids, of course. Raina took his brother because he's very weak. He even beat a bunch of bullets to save his glasses. They even show at one point Shiro look like they're in a bathhouse, and Shiro is ripped, like he is shredded. I'm like, by the way, by the time he died, he was 51. He looked in great shape for a man his age. Great shape. Of course, in disagreement where Rin basically was like a delinquent when he was basically junior high. And then came the events of the first episode of the series, which they kind of replayed this episode, but they used different camera angles, so it's not like the way they showed it here is like in the manga. It's like we use reverse camera angle to tell from a different angle to tell the stuff we show in the very first episode, like Ren's like prophecy, awakening stuff, and then Ren arrives back in present day. Memphis like, you regret not being born. And then he goes back to the door once again. This is seeing his father just prior to it when he's still a little kid. Where they see him like plotch to the couch where at one point look like I see his butt hanging out. Tries some food. Calls basically his father dad. And he goes off. And he's like, basically thinks about all the stuff happening over the course of the season, and then the episode ends with him reuniting with Yukio. First time he's seen him since like the end of the previous season's show, and they don't show the fact that in the manga he was actually attempting to put something in his eye. Yeah, they kept that out here, but very interesting in here. If they ever I would say there's plenty of chance to do now. As far as I can tell, there is no set plans to do a season 6 yet. No. As for doing their season per se, that I don't know. But this is the last episode set to air per se. Well, actually, it was released like a couple months ago, but still. Yeah, actually last month. But fantastic episode. Nice wraps up most of the season in a nice little bow. It didn't do any present day stuff this season per se. Not a lot per se. Excuse me. Maybe the next season when they do, they can probably cover in that first episode, cover the chapters that basically skipped over. But final thoughts this season. Overall, really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Not saying about an episode, I think everybody did a great job. Of course, we got some new characters here, like in the cases of in the past. Do I think in the past they should have explored it a little bit more in terms of the anime? They probably should have, but they probably had a limited time schedule. But here's the thing: they were supposed to this arc was like 21 chapters. Here's the thing: they did not adapt the whole thing. As a matter of fact, there was actually one episode this whole season where, get this, they're adapting stuff from the previous season that was skipped. Yes, no joke. This is 100% completely true. There is a single episode this season. Now, they start with chapter 100. Here's the course of these previous episodes. No, it was episode 68 per se. That is pretty much basically where they were like finishing up stuff from the previous season. They start look like they went to like chapter 110, but you think, oh, maybe next episode they'll have more. No, they didn't. They chose not to adapt those chapters. So here's what was adapted over the course of 12 episodes. In the first episode, it was chapter 100 in the first 16 pages of chapter 101. Second episode, the rest chapter 101, 102. 64, which is the third episode, 103, and pages 12 to 21 of chapter 104. Episode 4. Pretty much most of the rest of the remaining chapter, plus chapter 105, plus chapter 104. For the fifth episode, was 106, 107. For the sixth episode, which is like half of the season, 108, 109. 68, pages 16 and 17 of chapter 97. 1921 of chapter 99. 90.5, the first 13 pages. 110. The pages 20 to 24. And chapter 114. The eighth episode is the Blue Knight. 115, 116, the first 22 pages of chapter 120 of 116.1. Episode 9, the rest of chapter 116.1 and the entirety of chapter 117. The 10th episode, Light, 118, and the first 15 pages of chapter 119. The episode that just released last week, like I mentioned, it was last episode. It was pages 15 to 35, chapter 119, and the first 8 pages of. Well, they kind of stopped toward the end of the chapter, and then this episode just kind of adapted pretty much the rest. There was nothing else adapted for this episode, and that was the thing. Frickin' nothing. As for why they didn't bother to have the rest of this, I have no idea. It's a complete mystery. Of like, they probably want to stay faithful to the ending of the arc is what it is. But those that be thinking, is the material to do a season 6? I would say part of a season 6. Yes, I would say, here's the thing about the current arc of One Cloth. This arc is currently at 37 chapters. Yeah, and those chapters not released yet. You're like, really? Yes, really. I thought it was kind of weird. The fact that this brand spanking new, that the next chapter has not been released yet. I mean, it's been like over a month since the last chapter was released. I mean, last chapter was released on March 3rd. I would have thought by now they would have released it. It's been like over a month. It's been like a month and like 9 days. So maybe in the next couple of days they'll release a new chapter. Who knows? That depends. But if they ever do a season 6, they'll probably do 2 episodes of maybe like have the first episode cover. Probably the first episode cover like the stuff they skipped over the season. Because they had an episode this season where they covered so they skipped the last season. They might do that for the first couple episodes per se. But how far can they get through? I'm guessing they probably can't get to very far. Because I don't think they can go that far with this arc. I'm going to take a guess at this. Maybe they can go as far as maybe chapter 129. It is possible. Who knows? I don't really know, but that depends upon the studio. Who makes it? Oh, and who made the new season per se for Blue Exorcist? Like who made these last 3 seasons of the show. Because the original was A1 Pictures for the first 2 seasons in a movie. But starting with the 3rd season of the show, which aired a year ago, yes, a year ago, for some reason they decided to switch studios. Not sure, well, because it was produced by A1 Pictures for the first 2 seasons of the movie. From the season 3 to this recent season, it's Studio Vaughn. Still keeps the same style A1 Pictures did. My guess is A1 Pictures, I don't think A1 Pictures passed on to themselves. I think it was the committee behind this series must have felt as though, yes, now is a good time to bring this series back. It had been 7 years since the preseason aired. So, I guess they probably figured out, hey, there must be plenty of manga released in the 7 years since the preseason aired. And they proved to be correct in that matter. And we got 3 seasons of it. 3 12-episode seasons. We got roughly 36 episodes at the period of 1 year. Which is awesome. And they didn't finish adapting the stuff. No. They didn't. But could he's come back? Oh, it could. But that depends upon when this arc finishes on the manga. Because I would think they would basically, do this arc quickly. But even if they go through like the first half, that's probably all they can do. If they do a 4th season, they might call it actually 6 seasons. We're going to season 6 part 1 and say, oh, we're going to stop here and wait until this arc is finished, and then we're going to do more episodes. That could happen. Who knows? But all in all, I love the fact Blue Exorcist was brought back recently, like when it was brought back last year, and now it's officially done. There's no slating exactly when it's going to come back. I hope it will. Yes, I hope it will. I would have thought, maybe 37 chapters. Not really. It's like rough, like almost 40 chapters. 42 chapters maybe to adapt. You can think, you can get a little season of that. Probably yes, but my guess is they probably want to stretch out as much as they can. So, my hope is that they adapt the chapter skip of this season, which is chapters, like pretty much finish up chapter 110 and go through chapters 112, 113, go through those chapters, and then go through, then go through the stuff basically that picked up right where the season left off. Because my guess is they're probably like, hey, we need their half of this equation, like how we get here from Yuki's perspective. That's my guess to know what to do. But that depends on the studio. Yes. So, as for next time we see these series come out, probably when the new chapter comes out. Who knows when that'll be, okay? So yeah, that's took a view. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications. Next, our Comic Corner, it's on to 2 straight episodes of Demon Lord 2099. Okay, next video. Bye.